classified trouble. Somebody posted a $50 go-kart. I figured, hey, why not? Let's go get it. Want a new go-kart, Ginger? A new one. Let's get another one. We have a bunch, but what does one more hurt? Oh, looks good. Yeah, we'll take it. It's exciting. You guys excited? I'm excited. It's always funny the things you pick up off the classifieds. I wasn't even looking for a go-kart. This thing is super low hours. The lady was the original owner. Got it when she was 14 years old. Just looking at the chain and stuff like that, the original chain, it's not worn out. This thing doesn't have hours on it. It really doesn't. The steering, like, it's that tight. There is maybe 1/4 of an inch. And even there, it's barely wiggling the wheel. These things get so wallered out and sloppy. What do we need to fix? Engine, obviously. I guess probably just a carburetor clean. Easy enough. What is this? I don't know, the spark plug boot has some sort of electrical tape on it. Not a big deal. Is there any gas in it even? Looks like a little bit. So that's probably old as dirt. It's just sun faded. Look at the little on-off switch. It's a Tecumseh though. It'll run for sure. These are fantastic engines. They really are. Carburetor's right there. All that moves. Oh yeah, all that moves. That's gonna be even an easy clean. We got the bead off of the rim. Not a huge deal. Looks like we're starting to crack the sidewall. Nothing a little tire sealant won't fix. Yeah, we'll save these tires. We'll seat that back on the bead. The biggest eyesore is the seat butt hole, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Look at this. Huge missing. We got to put some new foam. Maybe upholster just a bottom seat for it real fast. I think the top is repairable. I'd really like to save these stripes and logo. And that feels nice and soft still. This does not feel soft. The sun just plays havoc on stuff. What else do we got to do? Now the kill wire, is that just, the kill wire is just touching metal, so, I mean, that could be the whole problem why she couldn't get it to start. You got the kill wire just sitting on the metal. It's supposed to be, there's a little switch over here. Yeah, it's just supposed to be connected to the back of that, so it looks like it just fell off of that. Yeah, that'll stop you from starting this thing. I mean, are the seatbelts still strong? Yeah, I don't know what they make seatbelts out of, but they can get pretty dang faded and still be strong as crap. I've seen guys at the wrecking yard just wrap a seatbelt around an engine and just lift it right out, no problem. So I guess we'll jack it up in the bed of the truck so we can get pressure off this tire. So hopefully we can, you know, and hopefully we can seal that back up, and then we'll work on the carburetor. Right there. Here we go. Oh. We even have a shared key in that wheel where somebody took the key out. This is what you would call a live axle go-kart, where both wheels spin the same. I'm thinking somebody took it out. If you take out one key, which isn't a good idea, it'll wear it out, but then you can turn a lot easier on pavement. But we need to remedy that, so I'm assuming Dad or something, you know, took out the key. Let's just rip the carburetor off and clean it. One of the coolest things I love about these Tecumseh engines is actually this. You have this little slab right here. This is for winter, and it actually will suck air off the fins of the engine, and that's summer mode. And then that just sucks out fresh air just from out in the room, you know, from out and about. Let's take off carb real fast. You can do this without taking off the carb, but it'll take you 4 times longer. Beautiful. Take off a little bit of a gasket that's left. This is just a vent. And we got 2 screws on the back. The biggest problem with working on things like go-karts most of the time is they've been maintained by a 10-year-old. So what happened to them is usually anybody's best guess. You think back to when you were 10 and you were working on stuff. Okay, tip for you. Anytime you take off the carburetor, there's going to be multiple holes sometimes that the governor linkage goes into. Scratch it. Scratch the one that it went into. You won't remember. And then we'll just take out the fuel line. Actually, I have a pair of needle nose pliers that I custom made. Work on these little spring clamps. This was supposedly running last year, but that means very little. The gas actually doesn't smell too bad. So maybe they just barely put gas in it last year, or doesn't smell like ancient gas, so that means the carburetor is probably pretty decent. The bowl gasket is split, not a huge deal. Needle. This is strange. This is an aftermarket carburetor, which sucks. Okay, whatever. That's probably how they had it running last year, is they put a cheap carburetor on it. This doesn't look like an original. Thought it might be, but no. This isn't Tecumseh. The zinc chrome plating is already wearing off on the inside of this carburetor if this is only a year old. Is it actually a rubber tip needle? Yeah, it's a rubber tip needle. That is not a Tecumseh thing. They have a little rubber seat down there. Whatever. The biggest trick to Tecumseh carburetors is there's a little hole right up here for your idle circuit, right there at the very top. Let's see if we can get spray through it. There we go. The rest of it is your main jet. You got 2 pickup holes on the side and then a hole right through the middle is your main jet. These are essentially air bleeds. You got one here and you got one down at the back. Essentially they mix air with fuel to atomize it, so it atomizes better. This carburetor is actually pretty clean. This is your emulsion tube. Look at this. Usually there's a bunch of small holes drilled all the way around the outside to help add air into the fuel. Being a cheap knockoff carburetor, there's only 2 at the bottom. This isn't going to run as well as the original carburetor. I should have asked the lady if she still had the original carburetor, but I doubt it. I looked at it real fast and looked clean. I just assumed it was original just from the outside, but it is not. So this is never going to run as good as an original carburetor, which sucks. Whatever. We live in a world where everybody thinks that these carburetors should be dirt cheap, and they buy these knockoff carburetors that just essentially rot. If this gets like 3 years of use, I'd be surprised before just like the gas just eats through it. So we'll take this seal. I'll put a new seal on this piece of crap. I'm actually really disappointed in that. I don't know if you can tell in my voice. I am not excited about these aftermarket carbs because they suck. Yeah, I know. They're like 15 bucks on Amazon. I'm talking and not paying attention. This is your idle circuit. Little microscopic hole in the middle, 2 on the outside. Spray through this. Yeah, it's clean. This carburetor didn't look dirty enough. And then we'll spray through here, and then there's holes on the inside of here. It pulls up from the bottom, goes up there. Not a big deal. This carburetor is clean. I'm actually wondering if it only did not run because the kill wire is touching the steering wheel. They put this little cap over it because it's not adjustable. It's a fixed jet, and on earlier models, before the EPA said we couldn't adjust carburetors, if you got a little dirty, you could just like turn it out a quarter of a turn and go past the dirt and run good again. Looks like we need to make a gasket real fast. I use this stuff pretty much for everything. This stuff right here is pretty universal for most engine gaskets and stuff I use. We'll cut out a new gasket real fast. We just put the material over there. We use the ball end and just lightly tap around, inside, outside. Usually I would break out the whole inside and outside, but I kind of got flanges and stuff. And that freaks people out. You don't hit hard enough to actually damage even the aluminum. And it's almost cut out by itself, just a couple light taps. We'll go cut this out the rest of the way. Close enough. I'm just eyeballing these. I didn't mark these really good. We'll make sure that works and then just finish cutting it out. One of the reasons this original gasket split is because somebody's over tightened these screws. I don't know if you can see how deformed that mount is, so we'll just hammer that straight. It probably wasn't even sealing up here and down here anyway, which will destroy your motor because dirty air just sucks in. It's actually, it looks clean, but it's not. That's going to pour out pretty dirty looking. Good enough. It actually looks really thin. Like somebody put automotive oil in there instead of SAE 30. SAE 30. Multi-viscosity oils break down. Like 10W30, 5W30. They all break down in an air-cooled engine because they run so much hotter. So a 1030 turns into 10 weight and it just turns into water and causes more damage than it's good. Just put in straight 30 weight, unless you're running in the winter. Then run like 1040 or something like that. 1030. Only in the winter, but once it hits summer, right back to 30. Or just run 30. It just takes a second longer to warm up. It doesn't wear it out. Gas in it, let's fire it up. Let's take this kill wire and dangle that off there. If this was a Tecumseh carburetor original, I would bet money on a single pole start. We'll see though. Let's take out the belt real fast so we can rev up the engine without it moving. There we go. Okay. One pull. I don't know. One pull. Blowing just a little bit of black smoke because the carburetors aren't tuned just right, so it's actually making it a little over rich for a second when I rev it up. I don't know if you guys can see the black smoke, but it is. That could have been the reason why she couldn't get it started. Could have been. I just barely texted her to ask her if she had the original carburetor. Nope. I don't know what it is about pretty much anybody under 50. I'll buy older people. I'll buy like a chainsaw from the 70s, and some guy will have the original carburetor. Heck, he has the original spark plugs in the box with it with the original manuals. You'll buy something that's 4 years old and people have nothing. They have nothing. They're like, I don't have the manual. I have nothing. I don't have any spare parts. I put a new carburetor on it. The very same day I got the carburetor, I threw it away, the old one away in the dump. Like, we have this mentality that everything is junk. I don't know. Sorry, little rant. I'm going to actually bump up the RPM a little bit. It's running a little bit low. So we can do that just by, super simple, we're bending that little thing out and adjusting the governor. Now, everybody's like, just remove the governor. I know a lot of people think the governor limits you, But you need to start thinking as the governor as just a rev limiter. Like a race car, you don't want to go over a certain RPM. That's all the governor does. It's not going to give you any more power to remove it. It just limits, you know, your RPM. So right now it's only running about 32. All these small engines like this, all of them, every single one can run at 3,600 RPM safely, and that's where the horsepower is actually rated. But we can bump them up to about 4,000 RPM, and they'll still be fantastic. They won't blow up. Anything over 4,000, you have to start doing stuff internally, but we can bump it up to 4,000 RPM just with this little, this is just like an hour meter, but it also is a tachometer, and all we have to do is just set it on there. I just set the coil wire right next to it, and it'll show me the RPM. On a stationary engine that doesn't have like a throttle, like this has a, you know, the throttle cable pulls this, you would just adjust this little tab out, and that would increase the RPM. This one has a secondary little thing. This is a little tab right here. You can see when it comes up and pulls, it grabs that. So if you make it grab further, so if you bend it to the right, that will increase your RPM. Easy as that. Just bend this little metal tab. Or on a regular engine, like a lawnmower or something else like that, you bend this tab to the right, out. More spring pressure, higher RPM. So I bumped up the RPM, almost 800 RPM. So we're just shy of 4,000. You'll probably hit 4,000 when you're up there. I probably added a horsepower, maybe even more. 3,200 RPM or so was running, 32, 33. It was probably actually only putting out like high fives horsepower. It's a 6.5 horsepower. The higher the RPM you go, the more you increase horsepower. Horsepower is just simply an equation of torque that the engine has times RPM. Increase the RPM, increase the horsepower. Simple. That's why you see some engines that they get insane numbers. They just made it spin faster. That's it. That's how you get more. That's one way to get more horsepower. So this might be putting out about 7 to 7.25 horsepower now. We do the math based on the 6.5 at 3,600 RPM. But yeah, there you go. How much oil's on the frame? All of it. So that's how it goes with small engines. The camera pull up the nice glittery glitters in there. That's pretty standard though. Small engines don't have filters, so nothing ever gets filtered out. So the inside bead's still seated. Let's just seat the outside. This is bead sealer. This just helps. It'll help kind of glue it. Kinda. It'll help if there's any imperfections to fill them in. I feel that it helps these small engine tires, Go Kart tires, not fall off the bead ever. Okay. If it's inside seated, all we need to do is pull it out. So this is a lock-on tire chuck. This is by Haltech. There we go. The weight's off. That's all you ever need to do. Take the weight off of it, put it on one side, seat it down, push it really hard so the inside or something seats, and just pull it back and kind of squeeze it. Guys will sit there and strap stuff down. Sometimes you need to put the strap around it, ratchet the strap down, but most of the time that does it. I don't even hear any leaks. We'll spray some water on some of these bigger cracks to see. See the keyway? No key. But the inside bead is leaking. See the bubbles? So we'll just let the air out, pop the inside bead, put that stuff on, and reseat it again. Now let's see if we can just get the inside to pop off. Yeah, it's already popping off. This stuff sets up to kind of like rubber cement when it's done. There we go. What do you think of keyways? You think they're okay? I think they're okay. So we cut out a keyway out of just some 1/4-inch plate. Nice long ones. Took me a couple attempts, but I think we got one that'll work. Go throw this in and see what it does. And a neighbor just brought me a free Honda tiller. Hey, I think the transmission's bad. And another neighbor bought me a mower to work on. Like, it never ends, you know? So it's nice and rusty. Will that fit in there? Oh yeah, that'll fit in there. We'll hammer that in, put the wheel in, we'll clean that up just a little bit, and that wheel will be locked. Now has a key. I could roll it back. There we go. But if you don't know what these are, this is essentially a transmission. You know, it's an infinite transmission, but it's essentially like a, you know, like a 4 or 5 speed transmission. And so it'll start out with the bigger pulley in the back, and as you go, sucks the belt in, and this gets smaller. This one gets bigger, this one gets smaller, essentially. And you have kind of infinite speeds. Makes a big difference in a go-kart having one of these versus just a centrifugal clutch that just engages. Amazing. So mechanically it should be done, it should be running and driving, but before I take it out of the bed of the truck and I'm having to bend over to work on things like that, I gotta do something about this seat. I cannot live with myself to have a seat that looks like that. So we'll just pull the whole seat off. Usually it's bolted down, but you can see that it is completely rotted out. The OSB they used usually be bolted down with just like 1 or 2 bolts. Looks like just one was bolted down. So when we remove that, we can grease up the slides. The seat can slide forward and back. Actually, it's not too bad. But we can grease up some of the cables and stuff like that, make sure everything's working. We take this in the garage, see what we can do about this ugly seat. That just staples down to the bottom. So take that out. I don't know if any of this is saverable, because I need to do new wood, a new chunk of foam, and new seat. So I think I'm just going to start completely from scratch. And this right here, all we need to do is really close this seam up. And I don't know what the best way to do that besides just sewing across there with another piece. I can steal a piece off the back here, or just use some of the black that I have for the bottom. It's not going to be the exact same, but there's the seat bottom. I'm not going to show you guys how to sew. This is not an upholstery sewing machine. This is a free sewing machine that nobody wanted. Actually, I have more than one sewing machine, but you can do most upholstery stuff with a sewing machine, just a regular sewing machine. You just can't do things like piping and really thick stuff. You just have to take your time. And you just do everything inside out. And then you just flip it right side out. And there you go. This is not the way you do it, but this is how I'm doing it. This is called an upholstery needle. It's curved, so I can stab it in. I'm going through the piping, which is like a chunk of rubber. You get the idea. So the piping comes up and ends. Kind of have it stitched. So this is all new. This is the old. So we got stitches. You see, good enough. Unless you're looking for it, you can't tell. So that's all we're going for. Alright, this is my $2.50 table saw. Mounted to a broken Ryobi frame that I custom made so it can mount to a modern frame. I've cut a piece of plywood. Got to cut out the old dad foam. These actually work pretty good. The old kitchen knives, they work okay. I find a lot of times just a really sharp pocket knife works better. Or even like a hacksaw blade. The best place for foam, to find free foam, couch cushions. I don't think this one's out of a couch cushion. This one is for sure. You can see like sometimes they put this little fuzz on it. It's like an extra little layer itself. But that I've cut down for a million different things. This piece I think is from like a camping mat or something. But we'll just cut this out square and put this in the middle. Leave as much as I can of the original foam. Feels about the same density. Like there's stiffer foams and lighter foams. Close enough. Get a chunk of foam. It's close to that. And about out to here. Not that crucial yet. Good enough. This is not a $400,000 car. There we go. Let's try to keep this one a little bit higher. Don't let it sink down in. There we go. There you go. Fine tune it just a little bit, but that is done. There we go. What do you guys think? That is not perfect, but it looks a heck of a lot better. You can see, you know, unless you're really looking for it. Ginger, we lost the gas cap. Apparently I didn't screw that on. We gotta go retrace our entire steps. Huh. Let's go do it. Looks like we could ride it again. Found it. Right there. Ugh. Morning, I took Ginger out for a weight. Come on! Other than just cleaning up some things just a little bit, you know, some of the rust off of these or something, just cleaning up a little bit. You kind of scuff the gas tank, get the white haze off of it. Same with you wire brush the gas tank, get the white haze off it. Just clean it up, take some of the sun fading off. A lot of this will just kind of polish it out just a little bit so it's not so pink, so it's more red like it was originally. But I think that's it. We're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye. What do you think? You like it or no? We like it.